Good afternoon and welcome to Euronews Now. It's Friday the 13th of May. I'm Andrea Bolitho and these are your top stories this hour. Russia will stop transporting gas through part of the Yamal pipeline, closing another supply route for Europe. And Finland fears its gas could be turned off in retaliation for its NATO application. International leaders need to prepare for the war in Ukraine to last and consider its long-term consequences, France's foreign minister warns on the second day of the G7 summit. Ukraine's armed forces say Russia is continuing to launch airstrikes on embattled Mariupol, determined to block the Ukrainian fighters holding out at the steelworks.
Russia is to cut off gas supplies to Europe through its Yamal pipeline after imposing sanctions on the operator of the Polish section of the conduit. The move closes another supply route to Europe, resulting in yet more rises in the cost of energy. 2 weeks ago, Russia cut off gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria over their refusal to pay in rubles. Germany, which relies heavily on Russian supplies, has condemned Moscow's latest action. Overall, it has to be said, the situation is worsening to the extent that proclamations of the use of gas and oil as a weapon are now coming true in various places. Poland has already accused the Russian supplier Gazprom of a breach of contract over the cut-offs, but the company in turn has accused European countries of breaching their contracts by preventing it from operating pipelines or companies in which it holds shares.
Germany's economic and climate minister says that Russian sanctions on foreign energy companies is a clear indication that energy is increasingly being used by Moscow as a weapon against the West.
In Germany, Gazprom and its subsidiaries are affected. That means some of the subsidiaries are now no longer getting gas from Russia, but the market offers other alternatives. They supply themselves with other gas on the market.
According to Habeck, the German government also sees the weaning off of Russian energy sources as an opportunity for the future in terms of environmental policy.
There is a direct line from saying goodbye to fossil fuels from Russia to saying goodbye to fossil fuels altogether. That means expanding renewable energies.
During a meeting with Habeck in Berlin, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba called on all German companies still doing business in Russia to withdraw and move their operations to Ukraine instead.
The EU is promising more military support for Ukraine. The news comes as foreign ministers from the group of 7 leading economies gathered on Friday to continue talks in northern Germany. Top of the agenda are the Russian invasion and its global impact, particularly on food and energy prices. The meeting's been hosted by the German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, who said the conflict has become a world crisis.
I will announce that we at the European Union, we will provide a new tranche of 500 more millions to support military Ukraine. These 500 million will be allocated to heavy arms. We had at that moment provided armored cars, tanks, heavy artillery, ammunition.
UK Foreign Minister Liz Truss stressed the importance of keeping up the pressure on Vladimir Putin. The foreign ministers of Ukraine and Moldova were also invited to take part in the meeting.
Defenders of the Azovstal steelworks have released this video, which they say shows the heavy fighting that continues to rage in the last Ukrainian stronghold in the city of Mariupol. With civilians evacuated, the fate of the plant's defenders remains unknown. It's believed there are several hundred wounded Ukrainian soldiers with no medical supplies still holed up in the factory. Ukrainian authorities say they are continuing their diplomatic efforts to rescue those fighters, Meanwhile, their families are demanding urgent action for a solution to allow their family members to live alive.
What is happening there is not a war, it's a massacre. This is a violation of any convention. This is just the killing of the people who are surrounded.
In the east, many cities continue to see Russian troops approaching. The shelling of the town of Bakhmut continues, and some of the surrounding towns have already been taken. The population is trying to get on with their lives, but they know that their freedom is hanging by a thread. While the Russians announce their discreet and steady advances into Ukrainian territory. The situation remains grim for children. However, despite continued Russian shelling, Ukrainians organize lessons for the children, while schools remain closed or are destroyed. But the psychological difficulties from the war and limited access to the internet, it's a challenge for students to keep up with their studies.
Feminist band and fierce Kremlin critics Pussy Riot kicked off their European tour in the German capital Berlin on Thursday night. The four are as well known for their activism as their music, and their performance at the Funkhaus was as much art protest as entertainment. The Pussy Riot anti-war tour is inspired by the book Riot Days, written by band member Maria Alyukina, and is part music, part theatre and part video. Alyukina had been under house arrest in Russia because of an Instagram post. In September last year, she was sentenced to a year's restricted movement on charges of inciting demonstrations for Alexei Navalny, the chief opposition critic of Vladimir Putin. It was feared she wouldn't be able to perform on the tour, but earlier this week, Alyukina made a daring escape from Russia by disguising herself as an employee of a food delivery company, travelling through neighbouring Belarus and on to Lithuania. The 19-date tour also includes shows in the Netherlands, Spain and Portugal.
I will always find my way home, even if all roads are destroyed, they sang on stage. In order to perform in Turin and to leave Ukraine, the Kalush Orchestra got a special permission, but it wasn't a choice that everyone made. A member of the band decided to stay in Ukraine to fight. Let's meet the Kalush Orchestra, representing a country at war, here in Turin at the Eurovision Song Contest.
It is a very important moment for us because as we are qualifying here to the final, Ukrainian culture is at risk. It is being killed, destroyed in our homeland. But we're here to say that it's alive. It's unique.
How does it feel to perform here in Turin in a happy atmosphere while in Ukraine people are fighting?
There are multiple air raid alerts every day in the region where my family and my friends are. There are rockets flying over our houses. It really is like a lottery. You never know when your house will be hit by a rocket. So, of course, it's very stressful. But we are here and we are very focused on rehearsals and preparations right now. We are focused on conveying our message about the uniqueness and beauty of Ukrainian culture.
Bookmakers say you are the favorites. If you win next year, Ukraine will host the next edition. Can you imagine it?
We hope that if Ukraine hosts Eurovision next year, it will be a united, rebuilt and peaceful Ukraine.
Can you share with us a few seconds of your song, Stefania?
Мене в сильній бурі забере бабулі дві дулі. Ніби вони кулі, дуже добре знала мене, не була обманута, як було дуже втомлена, гойдала мене в такт.
Stefania De Michele, Kalush Orchestra, Euronews, Turin.
Still to come on Euronews now, more top stories and analysis from Europe and the rest of the world. Stay with us.